Over the years, basketball has undergone several changes. From the game created by Dr. James Naismith in December 1891 to what we see today, from the center-dominated game to the emergence of agile guards and wingers, the creation of dunks to the game dominated by long-range shots, basketball has evolved, and many were responsible for this evolution. Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain in the 60s and 70s, Julius Erving in the 80s, Michael Jordan in the 90s, and LeBron James in the 21st century. But nobody influenced the game in the same way that Stephen Curry. Yes, the kids of every decade wanted to be the star of their decade like kids today want to be Steph. It is easier to identify with the assassin with the face of a baby than, for example, with LeBron, a player of 2.03 who dominates the physical part in a way that has never been seen before. It's easier to identify with the little, who are successful among the giants simply because they love basketball.
NBA app. This is game one.
Demonstrate that passion on the court and shoot in a completely different way than we are used to. Although the main legacy of Curry's Golden State Warriors is the team game, the first thing that comes to mind when talking about the Warriors dynasty is the three ball, and no one shot with as much quality as Steph. In 2015, the entire NBA shot around 52,000 threes. This season, there were about 78,000 long-distance pitches, an increase of 26,000 balls since the Warriors were champions for the first time under Curry's baton. You've never done as much to stop a single player as defenses tried to do with Steph. In Game 2 of the finals against the Toronto Raptors, it was possible to see the Canadian team sending 2 or even 3 players to pressure Curry when he still had the ball in his own court. The Warriors' number 30 is the first player in history to be a threat from anywhere on the court. It is not uncommon to see the main player receive a double marking at the beginning of the play, but it is unheard of to see that the opponent considers the start still in the opposite court and not in his half of defense. Steve Kerr, Curry's coach and former teammate of Michael Jordan in the Bulls of the 90s, went so far as to claim that, not even when the Detroit Pistons created the Jordan's rules, had he seen defenses create schemes only aimed at stopping a single player, as they do with Steph. The gravity of the point guard is what impresses the most. Even in games where he barely touches the ball, Curry is still one of those who have the most influence on the final result. Just the threat of the number 30 hitting 2 balls in a row and entering supernova mode, and there comes another point in favor of Steph. It is very rare for someone with the talent that Curry has, capable of being the only unanimous MVP in the history of the league, to accept not being the guy who scores 30 points per game for his team to become champion. Virtually every statement from Warriors teammates testifies to what an excellent teammate he is, including Iguodala saying he will do anything to protect his legacy. Curry rightfully relinquishes the individual glory, even a finals MVP, that could come this season, for collective success. And if the argument is that Stephen is a freak of nature who has a gift that cannot be copied, he himself has already made it clear that he didn't shoot well until he was about 12 years old, and he improved with training. And Curry's influence on new players is already beginning to be seen. Trae Young is an example of an athlete who has NBA level and is a threat from distances that were not even trained before Steph's arrival. The next step is to create a 4-point line. It would be the ultimate testament to Stephen Curry's influence on a basketball court.